the spiritual side of marketing. Okay? The spiritual side of marketing. And what I want to do today is first get into what could be the blocks, what could be your blocks when it comes to marketing, right? What does the word, first of all, mean, right? What does the word marketing mean? And how can I actually, hey Nancy, okay, so how can I actually market in a way where my peoples, the peoples I want to work with, the people it's like that I'm super like, you know, we work together and it's like, you look forward to it, you know? That's the kind of people you want to start to work with. It's like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to work with Claudia. I can't wait to work with Nancy. I'm so excited to see like what's happening with them right now and get into the juicy stuff. You know, that's what you want too, right? So how can you talk to, how can you talk to your clients in a way that they're going to listen and also they're going to become your clients? So how can you talk to, you know, people when you're marketing, right? Excited to be here. This is my topic. Oh yeah. I think honestly, the two biggest things I hear in this community, the two biggest struggle is either like, oh my gosh, I hate marketing, or I don't know how to financially grow. So this is perfect because those are pretty much probably the biggest things I talk about, because I think it's, especially in the spiritual community, has such a stigmatism to it, marketing and making money. so that's it. So get out your paper, your pen, get ready to kind of type your answers and let it be a free flow, because then that also helps you access your subconscious mind. Because most of the stuff, the reason why we're not doing what we're supposed to do or we think we should do is because there's some unconscious belief that's kind of holding us back and it's pushing against what we want. Okay, so the first part of this practice is figure out like what's your block. So first question, okay, you ready? First question, what do you think of, and maybe this has changed since yesterday, what do you think of when you think of the word marketing? Go, write it down in the comments. Don't overthink it. Let yourself just write the first thing that comes to mind, because that's more important than figuring out the correct answer. The correct, what you think you should write, is not the answer that is going to help you. Okay, so write it down in the comments. I want to know, when I say the word marketing, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? So let me see in the comments. So this can be interactive and I'm not talking into the void. So I can, you know, also it's going to help me, you know, tweak this workshop, especially for you. I don't know how to do it. Yes. Okay. So the first thing, so that's interesting, Nancy, is that, you know, when she thinks about marketing, her first thing is, I don't know how to do it. How about you, Claudia? A way to communicate our message. Nice. Okay. So again, is that the answer that you think you should say, or is it the answer that, because you want to start to see like what are sort of the kind of unconscious thoughts that sometimes come up, like, ew, I don't want to be salesy, like, ooh, I don't want to look like I'm a show off, you know, I'm so perfect, you know, ooh, I don't want like people to judge me because all of a sudden I'm like trying to sell myself. I don't want to be a sellout, right? There's all this stuff around that. So if any of that stuff comes up, write it in the comments as well, so that we can look at that, because that's where really the real juice is, you know. I know it's a way of communicating, and that's great, but if there's something else, write it down, because that will help you. Okay, so good. Question number one, what does the word marketing what does it come to your mind? And I guess maybe if I want to be specific, any negative connotations to marketing. I am unclear of how much to charge for my offerings. Okay, so what I'm hearing, Claudia, is that when I market myself, I have sort of an unclarity of what to charge, but really the deeper root is an unworthiness, right, of my own value, and maybe not enough pondering and reflection on how valuable, you know, you are. Because in a way, you can't put a value on you and your experience. Okay, so in a way, it's limitless. Okay, so something underneath there is a little bit most likely to do with a worthiness, unconscious wound that was given to you in the past. Okay, so that's sort of like the deeper root to that. And of course, we'll work on that. The showing off resonates with me. I know, my friend too, she's like, oh, I don't want to show off. She was talking to me about that too. And so that to me is more like, what if I show up and I'm not actually like, I'm not the thing that the people want? What if it's like, it's not as perfect as it should be? What if I'm not showing up like the way they want me to show up? Okay, so that's another like layer underneath that is like just the certainty of just being you. Okay, being you in a room by yourself. Like, can you be Nancy? Can you be Claudia? Like all by yourself? And can you be that person in a room of millions of people? Okay, and that's why this practice, that's the whole practice, right? It's like to answer the question, who am I? Right? Who am I? And if we continue to allow ourselves to really find certainty in who we are, then we show up as that person. Claudia says, yes, I have a certain blockage and compare myself to more experienced teachers, which is crazy because I know Claudia has been teaching, I think we've probably been teaching the same amount of time. And so I know, and again, that's how we know it's unconscious, because on an intellectual level, when I look at Claudia, who says, I have this blockage and compare myself to more experienced teachers, yet you have so much experience, okay? So intellectually, you have a lot of experience, but there's something about, maybe authority figures or something about, again, a worthiness thing. And I think it's also, the other thing too is it's also normal, natural human behavior to see other people, right? And see where they're at. And sometimes, when you have sort of like this envy or this jealousy, instead of saying, ooh, nah, instead of pushing yourself away from that person, actually get closer to them. Okay, that's always been my trick. Like if I've seen, I've had some really good friends in the field and they're like kicking ass, they're making money, they're having a lot of clients. And of course, there's part of me that's resistant. It's like, oh, and I try to separate myself. But actually, let me go take their training. That's what I do. It's like, let me get closer. Let me see, wow, why is this person, in my eyes, because it's always in your own eyes, why do they feel like they have so much experience? Why is it that they're doing so well? Let me go closer. So you come in with curiosity instead of the separating yourself, right? Because isn't that what yoga is about? It's about creating union with another person, and union also within yourself with the parts that are let's say your demon and your angel, right? It's like, can I actually welcome both, right? So yes, so I love that I'm manifesting this with you, and that's it, right? So then it's like we start, instead of like saying, oh, Jamie's got it all figured out, which is not true at all. Nobody's got it figured out. That's just the truth, right? Everybody's trying to figure it out, no matter how successful you look, everybody's trying to figure out life. Everybody's trying to figure out who they are. Everyone's trying to figure out, how can I actually be my authentic self? Maybe not everyone on a conscious level, but many people in this sphere of spiritual, what we call the spiritual journey. So then you can now collaborate, right, with that person, because you're like, wow, so interesting, you're doing so well. How do you do that? And most people who are in that place of abundance, right, in that place where they, they feel that they're not in that energy, the lack energy, will be like, hey, here, I will tell you, because I want you to come along on the journey, right? Like, yes, let's do this together, right? And so that's another, it's another trait that maybe you want to start to see is like, is that person in that place of abundance where they're like, I'll write a whole, book about my life, and then I'll sell it to you for $20. And yet it's like, literally, I read a book just recently, and it's like 45 years of entrepreneurial experience in like bullet points, You know, it's like this man's like whole life in one book. And I got it for $14.95, right? That's abundance, right? He's just giving away his like, secrets, and it's just like, wow. And then you can just receive them. So, all right. So question number two is, okay, if you were to put a percentage on how much you're invested in spreading your life's work, what would that be? If you were to put a percentage, like from 100%, anywhere in between, what would that percentage be? Okay, if you were to put a percentage on how invested you are in spreading your life's work, what would that be? And again, first impression, don't overthink it. Don't try to give me the right answer. Let this be kind of like a revealing experience for your subconscious, because that's the thing that is always the thing that's going to hold us back. Even though we have the best business strategies, we're the smartest people in the room, we do our work diligently, you know, we're type A, we're overachievers. If there is some kind of subconscious belief, that's the thing that's going to F you every time, because it's like 90-something% that drives that bus. So if we're not conscious of that, it's going to continue to drive the bus. So how invested are you in spreading your life's work? Okay, so put in the comments, you know, is it 100%? Is it -20? What is it? What is the percentage, right? Allow yourself to see what that is. So put in the comments, I want to hear what is that percentage from 0 to 100%. Okay, so write that down and write it in the comments. So again, it can just come out of your system without it having you to block your own question. 100%, right? Yes. Okay, and I believe, Nancy, that's your answer too, 100%, because that's what we talked about yesterday. Okay, I'm not reading her mind, that's what she told me. Okay, all right. Now, so I love this, 100%, Claudia says, beautiful. Okay, Claudia is invested 100% to spreading her life's work. Yes, usually when we're working from that place where our soul is like, just do this, just do that. It's almost like we're compelled. We're compelled, you know, it's like, I can be doing anything right now. I can be going out in the sun and going to the ice cream shop right now if I wanted to, but I'm compelled, right? Right, I'm compelled to be here to share this nerdiness with you, my nerdiness. All right, so now, here's the other question. On a weekly basis, how often do you share your work? Either with people, just like, hey, this is what I do. Or in writing, like maybe an email, right? Or in something like this where you're talking about it. How often do you do that? Is it like, well, kind of, sort of, kind of. So I've been telling a few people, which is great. Okay, we want to celebrate whatever it is that we are progressing. Actually, I don't think I talk about it. But maybe you do. Maybe you don't realize, right? Again, if you're in that comparison where you're seeing somebody post 1,000 posts a day, like, right? It's like, but you're talking to maybe a few people, maybe your friends, you know, because you have to start with being able to talk to one person. Okay, marketing is not about being able to reach the masses. It's about saying, hi, my name is Nancy, and I am an expert in, coach in ADHD, right? Adult women with ADHD. That's what I do, right? I said 100%. Then I was shocked to write down the answer to number 3, and it was 0, right? So this is good, right? Because we're starting to reach the subconscious. We're starting to see, what are the things I'm unconsciously thinking, right? And then what are my actions, right? And of course, your intellect, because the second question was about, you know, how invested you are in spreading your life's purpose. And it was 100%, you're like, yes, right? But then when you start to like realize, maybe I'm not talking. And I think you probably are, Nancy, probably talking maybe even to your kids, right? And so, you know, give yourself credit. You probably are talking to people more than you think. But, you know, again, you start to realize, okay, if it's 100% that I'm invested, but I'm talking about it 0, okay, that doesn't add up, right? How can I, right? There's something about that. So this is good. So now it's like, oh my God, this is a good awareness. I need to explore that how, so Claudia says, I need to explore how to present myself clearly with my community make my efforts clearly with my community to make my efforts but feel. I need to allow spreading my message. Good. Right? So then it's like, so then we intellectually understand, okay, I kind of need to do this marketing thing, you know? So why am I, what's stopping me, right? And so, yeah, I to my kids constantly, thank you for that acknowledgement. Yes, it's true, right? It's like your kids are your kids literally are your biggest supporter. And if you don't have kids, your partner or your sister or your moms, you know, it's like your dad's, like somebody is like, you go, you do it, you know? And it's like, for me, honestly, like when I think about my like team, my girls are definitely in that team because they're always like cheering me on. They said, oh mommy, I don't know anybody else who's on a podcast. They're so cute. And they're like, you know, and yeah, so like baby, you're famous. Right? And of course I know I'm not famous, but it's just so sweet that they're like cheering me on that way, or they're like, mommy, none of my friends' moms are on podcast. So you know, it's like, yeah, they're definitely your biggest supporters, and you want to receive that love because it's so pure and it's so beautiful that it energizes you. So it's actually really strategic. Okay. All right. On a scale, this is another question. On a scale of 1 to 10, so I want you to feel this in your body. How resistant are you to putting yourself out there? Okay. 10 is super resistant, and 1 is like, not really, right? Or like you're kind of push-pull fight. It's like, I want to, but I don't want to. I want to, I don't want to. Subconscious mind's like, oh, you're not good at it, but you have to. You're not good at it. You see how they're constantly fighting each other? So on a scale of 1 to 10, right? I meant I want to allow myself to talk about my offerings and be clear and specific 100%. Yes. The more clarity we get in ourselves, the more we're able to speak to other people. That's where it begins. It always begins here. If I am clear and I can sit in this room by myself, nobody watching, and get clear in my own mind, heart, then I can start to allow myself, give myself permission to speak about it to other people. And of course, you know, starting to kind of see those kind of unconscious blocks that are telling us like, you're not good, right? And I was talking to Nancy, to her yesterday, and I was saying like, if I said to you, Nancy, you know, you're really not good at baking cakes, but can you bake me a cake? You're gonna be like, F you, I don't want to bake a cake. You just told me I'm not good at it, right? So of course, your unconscious mind is kind of stopping you from actually doing what you want to do, right? So it makes sense. So it's not your fault. It's somewhere along the line, somebody gave you that message. All right, so on a scale of 1 to 10, and those of us who are in the replay, answer this please. From a scale of 1 to 10, how resistant are you to putting yourself out there? I also have a whole other training you can go down and look about why it's so hard to put yourself out there. Okay, so we can do, that's a whole like hour-long training. So from 1 to 10, 10 being most resistant, 1 being, or like somewhere in between, putting myself out there. So write it down and know that it always could change. We're just kind of taking the pulse for now. Yeah, okay. So I want to hear you. So now, okay, let's see. Nancy says, 9, 10, I haven't marketed myself much at all. I keep saying that I'll wait until my website is done, or I have my webinar ready, or I'm making it's so hard for, exactly. And Claudia says 5, right? So it's like we overcomplicate marketing. Okay, because what is marketing? This is a perfect segue to like, what the heck is marketing? Marketing is saying, hi, my name is Nancy, and I do this. And you're simply talking about your experience, your personal experience. Because people want to know, well, what does that mean to you, right? If you're an expert in adult ADHD, like, whoa, cool, like, I didn't even know that was a thing. Like, what? okay, I have always heard about that for like kids, so tell me more, right? It's like, what is it? And you just simply, just like if a girlfriend was asking you, hey girlfriend, like what's up? What is this? What is this cool thing you're doing? I want to know. You just talk about your experience from your own truth, right? Because out there, what you're going to see, especially in marketing, is that there's the kind of like collective thought of what marketing is with your peoples or your niche, right? And so you start addressing those things, right? So it's like, for me, in our kind of, in the spiritual entrepreneurship, there's a lot of shame around making money, and there's a lot of shame about putting myself out there and, telling my truth, because we fear judgment, right? And it's a pain that I know exists because I experience it, and I know it exists because I've experienced it with my collective peers. So then I start to speak about my experience, my perspective. So you're not going from like, okay, let me Google 5 points about, ADHD, and then be all academic. Well, one, ADHD, the symptoms are, and you should do this. And because nobody wants you to give them a whole list of things to do. It's too overwhelming, especially in your niche, Nancy, where it's like, oh my God, another thing to do? Like, I'm trying to do like the million things that are already in my head. Like, what are you talking about, woman? And I just thought of a beautiful title for you. It's like the ADHD, ADHD, your superpower, something like that. Where it's like, what? Huh? Because again, right? Do you see how that sounds? Where it's like this compelling title, where all of a sudden, a lot of in the community and the masses think of ADHD as this like negative thing, and oh my God, your child, blah blah blah, has attention, blah blah blah, and it's like, ADHD is actually a superpower. Let me tell you how, right? So it's like, it's your perspective. It's like, oh my gosh, wait a minute, what does this woman have to say about this? Because I'm in that category, and I want to know like how this crazy thing that's affecting my life, where I forget to put my kids' shoes on before I drop them off at school. True story, right? How is that a superpower, right? So you see, so people, it's like, they think a certain way, they feel a certain way, like, oh my God, maybe it's like, these people hate me because I'm always late, oh my God. And they do certain things where it's like, maybe they make excuses because, oh, I'm sorry, I was late because, and it's like, no, it's because, dude, I have this thing, and it's called ADHD. That's why, my brain literally is able to think of a million trillion things at once. Like, that's my brain, right? So you start to talk about like the reality of your own experience, and it's going to translate for other people, because they're like, oh my God, she understands me, right? Claudia says she's a 5, right? So it's like there's a push-pull, Claudia, for you. It's like, I know I should, but I can't. I know I should, but I can't. There's just this like push-pull, right? And it's like that subconscious part of you that is there, something about putting yourself out there, something about just speaking about who you are. And in the comments, it's there was like sort of this worthiness thing, which we all have. Okay, so the only reason why I'm talking about that and addressing that is because that was my thing. It's like, who am I to talk about business? Like, I don't have a business degree, and I have my husband who's like an entrepreneur, so I was comparing myself to him, but me and him, we do business very, very differently, right? And so it's like, I have to learn how to own my own way of doing things, right? And I really like to make things simple, and I like to get to the heart of the matter. So for marketing, you're basically talking about your experience and your experience with your clients. So you're basically telling them something that's just happening in your life, right? It's that simple, right? It's that simple. And of course, in our program, if you were to become my client, as you guys know, we will also start to talk about, well, what is the structure? Because there is a bit of a structure, but once you know the structure, it's like, oh my gosh, great, I can just apply this structure and this formula, this framework to everything I do. Every time I do an email, every time I'm on the live, every time I'm on an interview, because you guys will have people reach out to you and say, hey, my gosh, this subject is super important, like super interesting. What's your perspective, right? So it's the same everywhere, in your LinkedIn, in your Instagram, wherever you feel like, okay, this is where I want to start talking, okay? And fundamentally, number one is, can you just talk to it just with one person, right? Can you just do that? And find your clarity, because the beautiful thing is people are going to start asking you, what are you doing? What is this thing? People always ask me, what are you doing, right? And it gives me this opportunity over and over again to get clear. It's like, what am I doing? And to get certain, because the other cool thing that happens, and Claudia knows this, is that people will mirror your own subconscious beliefs. So, I don't know if I can tell the story, Claudia, if you give me permission, but it's like people might start to, what's your certification? What's your background? How many years have you been doing this? You know, they're going to start you kind of trying to see if, like, what's your credentials? What's your experience? And the thing is, if you have your own kind of unworthiness kind of things, right? So Claudia, somebody asked her, like, oh, do you have a doctor's recommendation? And it's like, the answer is no. And if there's no energy, right? I don't have a doctor's note saying, hey guys, I have a doctor's note saying that I'm coaching yoga and business. No, I don't have a freaking note. Okay, I just don't. But what gives me my credentials is my experience, and moving my clients from their experience into an outcome, because that ultimately is what people are paying, especially in the premium spaces, is what I teach our clients, right? Charging at for your program, for your expertise, an 8 to 12 week program at 3K, 4K, 5K, 10K, and the sky is really the limit, because if you're able to move somebody from a place where they were in this life debilitating place where they could not function, to a place with your distilled experience, right? Because you most likely have gone through that. You know, I have gone through debilitating anxiety, so I'm able to bring people through debilitating anxiety. Now, do I need a doctor's note for that? So I'll give you an example. One of our clients, he literally could not get out of bed. Okay, literally called me and he's like, like basically had the courage to say, I'm suffering, man, dude. It's like, you got, I think you can help me, right? So that's the first step for your clients. It's like just to see their own, that you can relate to their pain because you speak about it from your experience, right? It's like there's moments in my life where I literally couldn't get out of bed. I literally was itchy for like literally 24 hours a day. I was that anxious. I would have anxiety attacks. I'd had insomnia, and I just talk about that experience. And just from talking about it, people were like, oh, I think she understands what I'm going through. But look at her now. Oh, all of a sudden, it doesn't look like she's having panic attacks anymore because I've moved out of that. So I'm showing people the other side, right? So just by talking about, when you're marketing, just by talking about your experience, it starts to have like this beacon for people to say, oh, I think she understands me. And I can feel she does, right? She can feel my pain. So like Michael literally couldn't get out of bed. After 4 weeks of working with me, he literally felt like a new person, right? He used to, like, his kids were so sweet. They used to like help him, put out his clothes for him. His wife would kind of do a little bit more like overtime to help him, like, while he was sort of in his, more like down phase. Work, he would have to, call sort of sick leave and work, very low energy. And he tried everything, right? He tried all the things. And so Claudia, this is what makes you an expert, right? It's like, when you know in your own life, you tried all the things and then you all of a sudden have found a process. And I know you ladies have these processes, because you wouldn't be sitting here right now if you didn't. You wouldn't be saying, oh, I have something to give. I figured something out, right? And it has brought me and or my clients to a particular outcome. So if you're telling me that somebody with debilitating anxiety and all of a sudden is literally like hopping out of bed, working out, training, eating well, playing with their kids, you know, making love to his wife, like, you know, if you're telling me I need a doctor's note for that and I've already given him the results, well, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe, you know, that's a different paradigm, okay? I understand the question, right? But my certainty in being able to bring somebody from this place where they literally were in debilitating anxiety to this place is 1,001%. Why? Because I've done it for myself. And I figured out the processes to do that. And I've distilled it in such a way where it's not like, okay, you have to do like X, Y, Z. It's like, just do this now. Like when my client came on the phone with me, like he literally was having a panic attack in that moment. And I had to kind of bring him out of the panic attack. And that right there just showed him, okay, you have the goods, you have the credentials, you have the expertise. Do you see that, Claudia? Right? He's not going to ask me, especially if he's already seen, and I'm not poo-pooing against people in that profession, okay? So if you guys are in the profession of being a doctor, if you're in the profession of being a psychiatrist, if you're in the profession of being a nurse, I'm not shaming you. I'm just giving you the facts that he tried all that things, you know, and it didn't work for him. Okay, so and maybe for some people that's their thing, and that's great. You want to be able to find the people that, you know, you start talking about your thing and they're like, oh yes, that sounds really interesting. Like for me, I'm always talking about, like, you know, going deeper and, you know, talking about your core wounds. If that's not your thing, if you're not ready for that, you're like, oh no, I don't want to talk about my feelings. Are you crazy, like, woman? Like, you know, I'm not a business person, right? Then it means you're not my people, and that's great, because I have more clarity and the other person has more clarity, and maybe along the way that I can keep on showing them my journey, and maybe one day it's like, oh, okay, maybe they go and they try all of the things and they realize, maybe something is here that Jamie's talking about, and maybe not, and that's okay. Marketing is not for you to try to convince people to buy your shit, okay? Marketing is, this is me, this is me, this is my experience with my clients, this is my process, okay? You here it is. If you want it, great. If you don't, no problem, right? I'm not gonna have this energy around, because not everyone is your people. That's the other thing too, right? So when you start to get really clear, who is my people, right? Who are my people? And it's like, you know what I mean? It's like Nancy was talking about, you know, wanting people in her circle to, like, you know, have this sexy bod, you know, and just really owning the fact that they work out and they eat well, you know, and so you're not gonna, like, your people is not gonna be the person who's like, oh, I don't give a F about like what I eat and what, you know, and again, no judgment. If that's your thing, beautiful, perfect, do your thing, do you, right? But like, I want to hang out with people who like actually, like, you know, it's exciting to like figure out how to make muscles and like, and to eat well so that you have more energy and you look sexy and you feel great. Like, that's exciting for me. So if I'm excited, that's going to be a transmission. So that's the other kind of subconscious thing that you guys can start to tune into, because you are intuitive in marketing. If there is just this natural nerdiness, this natural passion, this natural, like, oh my god, like, what, turmeric lattes? Like, I'm all into this turmeric latte thing, and I was talking to my friend he made me some, and I got this thing that you could foam, and like, you know, we're so nerdy about something so ridiculous, but it's like, you're gonna feel it, and your clients are gonna feel it. Game changer for me. It's okay to be yourself. Yes, right? Isn't that what this practice is about? Who am I? Who am I? Right? We have to ask. Nobody's going to tell us. right? I don't know who you are, right? I know who I am. And so if I show up as I am and you are like, I'm liking this mirror of me, this reflection of me, the same values as me. I love turmeric eyes. Oh my God. Yeah, we just, one day when we can fly, we're going to have to like have a date, work out, turmeric lattes and all of it, all the healthy stuff, right? Love embracing the weirdo and the nerdiness, right? Right? So it's like that energy, and hi Eileen, I'm so happy you're here. Right? That energy and that passion is going to be contagious. It's going to be, that's your real marketing, because people can sense, oh my God, she's as nerdy as me in this thing. Oh my God, she's my people. Like, I love it, right? It's like turmeric lattes. So my husband would be like, oh, gross. What is that? What is this? Putting curry inside of the, like, right? So yeah, right? So marketing is simply showing up as who you are on a good day, right? Okay. So of course, right? So it's like me here on my lives, I'm showing up as Jamie on a good day, which is beautiful because then it allows me to like, okay, I have to show up. There's a place where I can show up as all of me, right? I'm not going to show up like, hi guys, I'm Jamie and not sure what to talk about today, right? Like, then you're gonna like, does she want to be here? Like, what is she talking about? Right? So right away, there's this energy exchange that is like, not congruent. I'm not sure, right? So, and I'm not saying that I'm like this all the time, but when I'm marketing, it's like, let me show you, give me all of who I am. Like, here I am, people, right? Okay. So, the question was, first we talked about the block. So Eileen, if you missed it, first we did this exercise on like, what is blocking you from marketing? So go back and do those questions because they're really good. And then we talked about what the heck is marketing anyway. And so it's just being yourself. And of course, when you work with me, then what we do is we actually bring you through a process, very simple process. For me, I like simple, otherwise I get my brain hurts, right? So, and that's why whenever I did all of those DIY programs, I'm like, oh my God, why do I have 10 pages of finding my avatar? I don't understand this. And it's like, and it wasn't actually even working because people it's not about the color of their hair and the car they drive and how old they are. It's like, can I talk about my experience? And then, oh my gosh, is that the mirror of me? Are you the future version of me? Like, oh, okay, this is exciting. Oh my gosh, right? You have this story that is very similar to mine right now, where it's like, I'm totally anxious or whatever it is, or I'm struggling, and you've been there before and you understand me. And now you're also showing me like the what's the word? The dream. You're showing me like, ooh, I can do coaching and I can, have clients pay a premium and I can just show up and do what I love. And then your experience, so Nancy says, and then your experience of your bad days become your golden nuggets. Yes, you're getting it. It's working. Yes. That's my coach, Geeta Nadkarni. She gave me that mantra. It's working, right? And it's so this is for you, Claudia, right? It's like that client that was like, well, do you have a doctor's note or whatever the heck she asked, right? Doctor's recommendation, right? It's like that experience is like, oh, all right, this is triggering me. This is an opportunity for me to grow. This is an opportunity for me to get clear. This is an opportunity for me to get centered in who I am. And I'm not going to be whatever I think everybody wants me to do. Oh, you want me to get a doctor's note? Okay, I'll go. It's like, no, I don't have a freaking doctor's note. I'm not going to get a doctor's note, right? I love the idea of stepping outside of your comfort zone. So this is what Eileen says. Stepping outside of your comfort zone and showing up as a true, authentic self is scary, but courageous. Yes. And so also too, the other thing I'm saying is like, I'm not saying don't go see a doctor. If you want to do that, that's great too, right? And we can do it in collaboration. I can also, be your coach, and your doctor can give them their expertise, but my expertise is this, right? Do you want that expertise? Great. If you don't, no problem, right? And as I'm as I'm marketing, I'm also showing you what would it be like to work with Jamie. Okay, she's very excited, she gets very passionate, she talks a lot. It's like she asks you these deep questions and you're like, oh, I never thought about that. Oh, and then she's like, she'll laugh at her own jokes, right? Like, what would it be like, right? And so I'm giving you, I'm giving you, I'm giving you me as, so then it's not a big surprise. I'm not hiding behind my certificates. I'm not hiding behind some PDF. I'm not hiding behind a website. I don't even have a website, guys, okay? I'm not hiding behind any of that. I'm just being me and say, ooh, okay, we either vibe or we don't. Okay, or we're kind of vibing, but you're not ready yet for the transformation that I'm offering, right? So then that's what's a beautiful thing about continue to show up, because you're readying your clients, your future clients, to be able to work with you. So it's not this big, huge surprise. It's like, oh, I kind of get her whole kind of spiel. I understand where she's coming from. I understand the work that we would do if we were to work together, because I'm always telling you, okay? So yes, very true. I just need to be clear on my offerings. And Claudia, also give yourself permission to allow the clarity to emerge. I'll tell you a truth, okay? My brain was foggy yesterday, okay, because I'm getting my period, and when I'm getting my period, and especially if I start to feel very, very tired, especially at the end of the day after I've done a whole day, foggy brain. I can't concentrate. Nancy probably realized this yesterday when I was starting to stutter. I was like, my brain just, it couldn't like form facts as well. You want to know when I came up with the rest of this live? You want to know? 1:30 in the morning. And it's not because I was up all night thinking about it. I said, you know what? Just rest, chill out, because your body needs the rest. Okay, this is what we always promote. We must get grounded in the body. So that vessel must be taken care of. If I was just up worrying about and this, right? Worrying about like, oh my God, what am I going to talk about? What am I going to talk about? I'm like, all my energy is going to be spent, and I'm going to come up with nothing, right? But I'm like, listen, I just need to chill. I need to go to sleep. And at a certain point, I think because I slept early, my brain was all of a sudden awake. And I'm like, so what are the other points I'm going to talk about tomorrow? And then they came to my mind. I woke up, I wrote them on my Google's Docs, and I'm like, great, went back to sleep. So let the clarity come to you, Claudia, not from, oh, I need the clarity, I need the clarity, I need the clarity. It's just, let myself integrate, let the answers come. Of course, I need to do a little bit of thinking time, right? The thinking of like, we've been talking about like, what are the pain points of our clients? Eileen will start talking about that with you too. It's like, what are they, right? So you kind of really have to think, and then you also have to let yourself rest so it starts to integrate. And finally, it's like, ooh, okay. So then clarity comes usually in that moment of like, you're not thinking about it. It actually just comes because you let yourself rest. You let yourself integrate. You let yourself let the answer come. Okay? So that's how clarity works. It doesn't come just because you want it. Yeah, for sure. I would have loved the clarity on Sunday and have this all worked out. But it usually comes as a spurt of inspiration, really like right before the lives. Okay? So that's the truth. That's the truth. That's just the way I work. Right? And I'm putting my energy, leaving soon, teaching at noon, Hari Om Tat Sat. Yes, Jamie is teaching me and has been giving me the tools on how to gain clarity. It's amazing, yeah, right? And part of that big part of clarity is actually just relaxing. So sometimes maybe, Claudia, even as you teach, all of a sudden a spark of inspiration will come. You know, it's always going to come. That clarity is always going to come when you don't expect it. When you give yourself a place to relax. Because if you're on survival mode, your creativity and your funnel, your energy center is not going to be open. It's going to be like, oh my God, right? So it's like this place of learning how to trust, right? Learning how to trust yourself. It's like, I didn't write down every single word of this live. I'm like, okay, these are the 3 points. And I'm going to trust whatever I say is going to be the right thing. Do I have to be perfect? No, right, Nancy? Do I have to show up looking like I don't know what? No, right? It's just, let me just trust in the process. Let me trust whoever needs to be here is going to be here. Let me trust that I can answer the questions. Let me trust that I can say what I need to say. Why? Because I'm just speaking from my experience. I'm not making anything up. And that's what's going to be more sustainable for you when you market yourself. If you're just coming from your own truth, you can talk for days and days and days and days and days and days because you're just speaking from your own truth. Okay? So we teach our clients how to really get into the pain, the what is it that keeps them up at night. And when we start talking about it from our own experience, because we know, and our clients' experience, they're going to be like, oh my gosh, she gets me. She gets me even to the point where it's like there's things that I'm thinking and I can't even say it out loud. Just like when you said, Nancy, like, oh, I'm not good at it. Like, what? Oh my gosh, I didn't realize like that's what I was saying, right? And that's effective marketing when you're like, oh wow, there's something I was thinking, doing, and feeling that actually you've brought me more clarity. Oh, okay, interesting. Then you have your clients like leaning in. It's like, oh my gosh, what is going on here, right? There's certain like kind of ahas or takeaways that I'm receiving here, right? And then you give them your own truth, right? So I gave you my own truth. I'm like, listen guys, this is what I think marketing is. It's like literally just speaking about who you are. And when we work on the shame, when we work on the guilt, when we work on the blame, the energy around who we think we're supposed to be, the identity of what we think we're supposed to do and how we're supposed to act, right? Right? I do ohms, right? But do I have to always be this Zen spiritual person? I'm pretty Zen, I have to admit. But like, do I have to be that all the time? No, I'm not. It's not even possible. I yell at my kids all the time. Ask my husband. He's not impressed sometimes with the way I parent, right? So it's being you, all of you, right? In a way that gives people a place to see themselves, a place to think, and a place to, maybe if I'm showing up zero, in marketing, maybe I need to do like at least once a week, right? Okay, after our session, so let's say what Nancy says. After our session, I did 2-minute live introduction of myself into my local Austin, personal development group in a ponytail. As is, baby, first live ever, yeah. I love it. And that's what it's so funny, Nancy, because I was so excited when you became my client, and I was telling one of my besties, because we talk all the time, right, about what's going on, and we talk about our coaching clients and stuff, because they're also coaches. I'm like, oh my God, my client Nancy, she just like, I loved it. She, like most people, they kind of dress up a little bit, maybe they put on some, they kind of, and like she just came as is, and I love that about you, right? And it's like, ooh, she's my people, she doesn't have to feel like she has to like come to the party like all dazzled and and that's fine. If you like that, great. I love that too, right? But it's like, I love the fact that you just on our calls, you're just like, this is me, I'm here as is, right? And so the people who appreciate that, where they're like, oh my gosh, she's my people, look at her, right? She's doing this thing, speaking like a badass expert, and yet she's just as is, ponytail and all, right? So it's like wonderful, because your people will understand that. They will understand, guys, it's so hard to be the buttoned up perfect mascara. They'll see that, right? Now it's fun to dress up during your lives, okay? And I like doing that, but again, it's like, that's a choice, right? So thank you for saying that. I love that, as is. And that's exactly what I said to my friend. I'm like, she just showed up as is. I love her, right? So, and that's the thing. That's a beautiful thing, guys. When you start really showing up as you, people who vibe with you are going to also show up in your vortex. And then you're going to have like this whole love affair. Okay, because you're like, I love you so much, right? Right? So, and why? Because you didn't do the unsustainable thing of trying to posture and trying to be, this is me and my postures or whatever posture you do, right? All perfect, right? You're like, oh, this is me, guys, right? My hair is sticking up, so that's why I'm wearing this hat, like, So, so that's it, right? And then it's one of my coach friends, Nancy Powers. If you come here, Nancy, she said finding your soulmate clients. I'm like, oh my God, I love that. I think I have soulmate clients. I love that, right? So that's the fun thing, okay, about marketing, guys, is that you just get to be you, and then the people who are into you start to resonate. And then it's like you don't have to posture. You don't have to be anything else other than you. So, right, all right. So talking to your people, just to kind of bring it home, like talking to your people, you're showing them that part of them where what they're thinking, what they're doing, what they're feeling from a place of understanding. It's like, oh my God, she gets me. And you're also now showing them the dream, right? So I also start to talk about, like, literally, when I'm showing up to these lives, it's like, it's fun for me. When I'm showing up with my clients, it's fun for me. When I'm getting paid, it's fun for me. And I'm not in this place anymore where I feel like, oh my God, I'm just working and I'm teaching all the clients and I'm drained and oh my gosh, and I'm looking at my paycheck and it's like, fudge, guys, like, when is this gonna work? I know that part of it, and I will talk about that, but now I also am going to show them the bliss now, the dream now. And I'm not making it up. It's like, no, literally, every time I get onto a call with a client, it's like, it's exciting. It's like, ooh, what's the juiciness today, right? Every time I get on a live, it's like, ooh, okay, how can I also develop my own capability of coming here, having 3 points on my thing, and having the capability and the trust to say, start talking, because I'm really just talking about things that I have already been, pondering on anyway. Okay, so the pain, when you talk about the pain, it gives people the beacon. They're like, oh my gosh, okay, that's me. Oh my gosh, she understands me. She understands my pain from a transmission point of view, not just from a intellectual point of view. And at the same time, she's also showing me my bliss, so Nancy, when I said, like, have ADD imagine ADD was your superpower, it's like, huh, what, so you don't always have to only talk about the pain. You want to talk about it in a way where she gets me, and then also to show them that part where it's like, you are allowed to make money. You are allowed to be on the live and market yourself and just be yourself. You are allowed. So it's the permission, right? Giving yourself permission. When you give yourself permission, you give other people permission to do the same. So that's the bliss. And it's like, oh, wow, that's cool. I want that. And then that's it. So I hope this was helpful in the sense that it gave you some kind of structure, and it gave you a very simple framework, right? Because the first thing we looked at is the blocks. What is blocking? Again, it doesn't matter how many strategies you have, how many funnels I've done all that, right? Doing the SEO, workshops, how to build your website, how to find your ideal avatar. I did all of that stuff, right? It doesn't matter if you have all of that. If you don't have and understand what is the actual block, what is the actual subconscious belief, then it's going to be very hard for you to put yourself out there. Because it's like, if I say, just like that example, if I say, well, hey, you're not good at baking cakes, but bake me a cake, you're going to be like, F you, no way, I'm not going to do it, right? You're just not going to do it. So if you were to work with me, that's what we would do. We would look at all that stuff. We look at the symptom, because often we think the symptom is a problem, but that's just a symptom. The real problem is underneath that symptom, and we try to address the symptoms. Oh, okay, I'll just put myself out there more, or but if you're always coming from this, oh, I'm putting myself out there, but I'm not worthy. I'm putting myself out there, but I think I need a doctor's note. I think I'm putting myself out there, right? But I think I need another certificate. People are gonna feel that. But when you start to allow yourself to be perfectly imperfect and say, hey, this is my experience, right? Then again, you know this feel, right? So that's number one, the addressing the unconscious belief. Number two, what does the word mean to you? If you're putting all of this like unconscious connotations, or all of this stress, or all of this kind of like resistance, oh my God, it's salesy, I'm a sellout, I don't want to be a show off. Like if you're putting all of that wrapped around the word marketing, when marketing is really just talking about yourself, then of course it's going to be a block, it's going to be hard, okay? And then number three, how do you actually talk to your peoples in a way that they feel heard and they feel seen? That's really what it is. You're making your client the hero. You're making them the forefront. You're making it about them, because isn't that what coaching is? It is about them. It's not about how many certificates you have, how many experiences you have, how much years of experience you have. Like, they don't care. They want to know, do you get me? And can you bring me from this place A to this place B? Can you bring me from debilitating anxiety to now actually like functioning in the world, right? That's really all I need to know. And if you can do it in a way, it's like, I'm going to invest fully in this process, and you're going to invest fully in this process, because trust me, when people are paying me a premium, I am going to be there 1,000%. I'm not going to F around, right? And they're also not going to be there, half in and out. They're going to be like, dude, I paid a lot of money to be here. Like, let's make this freaking thing work, right? And I'm going to be like, oh yeah, you bet I'm going to be here. Not only for the money, but you bet it's going to be this symbolic investment of our time, our commitment, our heart to the process. So that's the power of charging a premium. It's like, we're all in. There's no like, oh, let me just kind of sort of be here, but like, maybe I'll get a refund if it doesn't work, or maybe I'll just pay this little thing but then not show up because I didn't really invest myself completely. So that's the true power of charging a premium, right? And that's what happens when you work with me, is that we're both fully like aligned, because I've done, the marketing part, and we're both invested, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. We're both in it, right? We're in it to win it. That came to my mind. We're in it, right? Because we want to, like, oh my gosh, you want to win, I want to win. You want to expand, I want to expand. Yes, we're trusting in allowing ourselves to start to fully put our energy into the dream.